What beliefs would lead Pilgrim families to face death and uncertainty in a strange new world so that they could express their faith? You would have to travel back 500 years to a Europe ripe for a revolution, or what would become a world-changing Reformation.
The story of America is literally the story of the Reformation.
The Protestant Revolt is a DVD series that visits all the historical birthplaces of the Reformation and follows its growth in both the Old and New World. It began in Germany, where Martin Luther preached salvation comes through faith alone. Man didn't need priests or bishops to assure him that salvation. That came from God himself.
The ambition of all of the reformers was to place the scripture in the vernacular, in the hands of every man.
Pilgrim reenactors in Plymouth, Massachusetts provide a clear view into this new Reformation way of thinking.
We don't need the king, priest, or bishop to talk to God for us. We can do it ourselves.
Martin Luther then translated the Bible into common language, and because of the brand new Gutenberg press, people could search out the truths of the Bible themselves.
And of course it was true that once a person starts reading the Bible, different interpretations happen. And those different interpretations create different movements.
As these new doctrines and churches sprang up, so too did religious wars that tore through Europe. After much bloodshed, the kings and leaders came up with a solution.
Cuius regio, eius religio, which translates roughly as, whoever's in charge of this region, his religion determines the religion.
In England, that meant those outside the king's Anglican church were seen as dangerous dissidents. This included the Pilgrims, whose fierce belief in their God-given right to liberty caused them to flee England and form a new society in the New World. Pastor Eddie Hyatt writes about this in America's Revival Heritage.
They did flee persecution in the old world, but they also came to America with a vision for seeing a renewal and a reformation of Christianity and seeing it implemented in this new world.
Pilgrim reenactor Dr. Paul Jelly.
Think about it. In human history, nobody has the freedom to form a society directly from the Bible in a wilderness, where they didn't have a king looking over their shoulder to say, no, do it this way or that way.
After suffering under the English king, Pilgrims believed it was crucial to form a free society.
They were fearful and loathsome of anything that resembled someone having an unchecked, undue amount of power over the citizens.
For an alternative, they turned to the Bible.
They found that God didn't confer power just to one individual shaped in a hierarchy, but instead he gave it to representatives who were elected.
That became a centerpiece of their Mayflower Compact and allowed them to form a society built around free markets and rugged individualism.
We're all equal in the eyes of God. We're all made in his image. And if that is true, nobody has a right to be over anybody else.
They changed the order of government so it was no longer from the top down, but from the bottom up. They expected their leaders not to be lords over the people, but to be their servants.
Now, the Pilgrims figure this: if God thinks we're all valuable and we all have worth, we certainly should think the same thing. And that's where self-rule came from. The king shouldn't be in charge, the people should be in charge.
And this is what will produce the impetus, the principles by which the American Revolution is fought.
And the Founding Fathers took those principles and wrote the Declaration and the Constitution based on those Christian principles.
And so this story is a story that we must cherish and continue to celebrate today. Liberty still matters.
This small, hardy band of Christians set the stage for what would become the freest, most prosperous, and some would argue the most spiritual nation on earth, all based on biblical principles.
Liberty is the story of the gospel. If the Son shall make you free, you shall be free indeed. Stand fast, therefore, in the liberty with which Christ has made us free.